Hi there, this video is designed to give you an introduction to the Race Drone Administration Panel, as well as show you how to set up an event. So here's the admin panel. Virtually all of the information in here, all of these headings you're not going to use. The only two we've got an interest in are the Events Manager and the Tracker Manager. The Tracker Manager's only purpose is to enable you to rename a tracker. See, these, for example, are called Pink 1, Pink 2, Group 3 and Pink 4. Well, if you wanted to change the name of that, all you do is search for your tracker username. So I can see it's actually there, but I'll do a full search as though we can't see. Tracker 913. And here, change 913. If we want to edit the name, all we do is choose the edit button and change it to Pink 3. That's now been saved. So that's the only purpose you use Tracker Manager for, if you want to rename the trackers every single time you go out on an expedition to something different. Then next we're going to set up a new event. If I go to Add Event, I'm going to put me as the organizer. I'll call this the Belfast to Dublin Race. I'll set a password, Richard123456. That will ask me for that password whenever I try to access the link. The checkpoint detect radius is only used usually for timed events like races, but can be used for D&V. If you were to put a radius in here, let's say 100 meters, every time one of the participants' trackers passes within a 100 meter radius of a specific checkpoint, i.e. the start, the finish, CP1, that's checkpoint 1, CP2, CP3, it would automatically put a time in the checkpoint or leaderboards table. So it's not an essential if you're just doing a D&V, but it is, it's there if you want it. The description is not used, you can leave it blank, it's just for your purposes. You can also make the short description a URL. For example, this is popular if people are linking to a charity website. Description, again, isn't required, only the ones with a little red star next to them are needed. Distance in miles, again, this doesn't have to be exact. Typical D&V, let's say it's a silver, 10 miles for the day. Again, it's mainly used for races, that one, so you don't really need to use that. Event location, let's choose Belfast. And event type, public or private. This is if you want it to be shown in the list of events on the Race Drone website. For most D&V, we generally say keep it private. Even if it is public, if you've specified a password, of course, no one will be able to see it. But if you don't want the expedition to be listed at all, just choose private. The start date, let me choose the start date of today, which is the 29th. Of March, and the end date, let's say it's going to be Saturday the 31st of March. This is the span for which the trackers will appear on the map. They won't be shown before midnight on this day, and after midnight on this day the tracking flags will automatically disappear and the expedition will end. The start time and end time, put an approximate time you think the students or anybody else will start the expedition, and approximate end time. I'm going to change this one, for example, to 5 PM in the afternoon. So this starts on the 29th at 8 o'clock and it ends at 5 PM. Emergency contact telephone number. Please put the country code in front of this. So in the case of me, I'm going to put 447-880-966-727. So you can put up to 3 mobile telephone numbers in here. Each one of these will get an SMS in the event that a tracker's SOS button is pressed. Logo, we don't need to add a logo. What we do need to add is a route file. So first of all, I'm just going to browse one that I've created earlier. So you'll notice it's looking for a KML file. You can convert a GPX to a KML using this routine here, but otherwise, if I just browse, and if I go and find a GPX folder, GPX, let me find Belfast. Okay, there is the route file I've created. I'll show you how to create one of those in a minute. but I'm using one I've pre-prepared earlier. This is where you select your map type. Do you need OS maps or not? So as default this is yes, and as it shows you the defaulted to satellite type there, satellite terrain road map. Once you've saved it, you can actually go back in and force that to be OS maps. Leaderboard enable. This is if you want to do all of the full timing from the checkpoints. You can leave it as default, or you can press no if you don't want the ability to see what times people got to checkpoints. How often do you want the map to refresh? We usually say once every 2 minutes. And how many tracking licenses? In other words, how many trackers are you using on this event? I'm just going to put that we're using 6 in this case. Save that, and that has been saved. If I now do an advanced search just to find that one we've just created, there'll probably be 2 in here because there's a real race called the Belfast Ultra. Okay, that's the one I've just created, the Belfast to Dublin race. There it is, from the 29th to the 31st. Just one thing worth mentioning here. Put a tick in this box. It doesn't greatly matter, but there is a feature on here which will measure the distance that every tracking device is from its start location as the crow flies, and you don't really want that feature for a DOV, so just tick that. It'll hide the distance column. Doesn't matter if you don't, you'll just get a strange looking column next to each of your trackers. So just as a recap, all we've done here is go into Tracker Manager and change the name of the tracker. Then go into Events Manager and create your event using a pre-prepared KML file and press Save. Now then, the only other thing we want to do, which we've forgotten to do, is go into the Dublin race, and here it was. Now then, we need to add some trackers in here. So let's say racer number 1 is going to be tracker 901, and that's red group. Race number 2 is going to be 911, tracker 911, and that's pink 1. Okay, so that's now added 2 trackers to your group. And you can just keep going like that to add the other 3 or 4. If you're adding lots and or hundreds even, there is a way you can upload them via a CSV file, which I can share the format with you if you want to see that. But generally, if you're adding just half a dozen trackers, it's quicker just to go and manually add them in, as I did there, which was go and add race number 3, tracker 913, and then click add. And it would then be added, and that's automatically saved it to the event now. If you want to delete one of these out, just press the delete button, and that's gone, and you've only got 2 and 3. You can rename these if you want to, and you can change the tracker association if you want to as well. You can also change the colour of the flag, the tracking flag, so I'll make this one green. Okay. Now then, if I was to go back and view this, it will bring up the map, and you can see that the participants are listed on here, and if they were over in Belfast right now, the flags would appear. Chances are they're over somewhere where you last used them, where they are up there. Okay, so if I can turn those off, number 2 is green, and number 3 is red. As you can see, that's now captured your map, and that's been created on there. So that's all there is to it. The only bit that you're missing now is actually creating this particular file. So let's see how we do that over in Google Earth. Right, let me zoom right the way out. Okay, so this is Google Earth. As a bare minimum, all the KML file is looking for is one folder with a start location in it. So in this case, I've created, let me just start again from scratch. If you want to create a new event, I'll call it Telford, and I'm now going to zoom in to where I want to do this. This is, of course, if you're creating this in Google Earth. You can import your own GPX from your DOV software as well. So if I go and add a flag here, call it start, and press OK. That is basically all that's required for an event. So if I now save this as a KML file, which is the Telford 123. Now, if I go back into Racetrome, if I go and edit this, I'm now going to change the root file. Desktop. Telford 123. And update that event. If I now go and refresh this, the Belfast to Dublin race is now just one start point in the middle of Telford, as you can see there. So that's how quick and easy it is to change the GPX. Of course, generally speaking, what you'd be doing is potentially importing your own route. So if I go into import a route, and it would be possibly a GPX file which had been created. Here is the Belfast to Dublin GPX. Let me open that. Say, do you want to create all of these? Just put a tick in each one. And now this will create the route for you. So now hopefully you can see that these are all the data points on here. Now, when you get this item here, let's just make this a little bit wider. You can see it's probably created a couple of different sets of tracks. We only need the line itself and potentially some waypoints if you've saved them. So we need this one and potentially that one there. So let me just delete these other items here. Inside the points, this would actually have one individual data point for each area that you'd stored. Now, that's not really tremendously useful. All you really want to see is perhaps the let me just remove the points, and so we're left now with the path. Let me change the color of the path to be something a little easier, like a red, to see. So we've got the route itself. Now we're going to put a start point in here. Go add a start point, call it start. And I'm going to add a checkpoint 1 location in here. This is only required, as I say, if you want to do the timing. These must be called CP1, then a colon, and then whatever you like. Can be the name of the checkpoint. I'm going to pick checkpoint 1 icon from here. You can use any kind of icon or custom icon that you wish. Move it around. I'm going to say that's where the checkpoint is, and then press OK. You'd repeat that for all of your other checkpoints, or if you'd actually imported a GPX file that had the waypoints in, these would already be in here, and the only thing you'd have to do is just rename them to be CP1 or CP2. Finally, let's go and add a finish line point. There we go. Let's zoom into Dublin. Click on the finish, and there we go. So essentially, an event which is going to get some timing consists of the name of the folder. Let's just move this main folder out to there, sorry. So you've got one folder, and within inside the one folder, you've got the path, which is the GPX line itself. That is optional. The start is the only required object. Then you've got your checkpoint 1, perhaps your checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3, checkpoint 4, and finally your finish. So that's the folder structure. Folder name, the path, start, checkpoints, finish. That's it. You can, of course, put anything you want on here. You can put extra flags and all sorts of things, and if you do, just put them underneath the finish. These are the actual objects which are required for a full timed event. And if you don't want a timed event, as I've said, all you need to do is just have a start object, and that is it. Once you've created it, just save it as a KML file, and this is going to be the Belfast KML version 2. Go back into Racedrone, go and import Belfast KML version 2, update the event, and now let's go back in. And there we go. That was the one I've just created there. So it's got the start, the checkpoint 1, and the finish in there. And that's all there is to creating events. Nothing more to it than that. So if you've got any questions on creating them, come back and speak to me. I can show you some specifics on how to import one that's been created by the EDAV software, but fundamentally, once you open the GPX file from the EDAV software, it will put in a large number of points and all sorts of objects. You don't need them. Fundamentally, you need the line, which is the path. You need the start point, and ideally you'd put a checkpoint and an end point in there, but you don't necessarily need all of that. Give that a whirl, let me know how you get on, and if you've got any other questions, then I can take it through you on the phone directly. Thank you very much.